So Gable Stevesons is making his MMA debut. Now, if you've been around the MMA community for a few years, and if you're more involved in the wrestling scene, whether it's WWE or collegiate wrestling, you know Gable Stevesons is a guy that has been on the UFC's radar for years, and he's been training with John Jones and many other veterans of the game to make his transition, and it's finally coming at LFA 217. Um, yeah, I I'm going to try and be fair in this video, but there's a major glaring issue with American wrestling in modern MMA. And I'm going to talk about that after. So, Gable Stevesons' mixed martial arts debut is officially set. On Tuesday, the LFA announced that standout wrestling phenom from the University of Minnesota is officially set to make his fighting debut at LFA 217 on Friday, September 12th, which, I should have factored this in my other video. They have a lot of major fights going down in September. We know, we have the middleweight fight, Cable versus, I just talked about it. Ah, Immovable. Yeah. There's a lot going down in October for that division. That was the video I made previously. But, a lot of people are going to be watching this debut, or they will at least watch this debut back. Stevens is slated to face Braden Peterson, who makes his second pro appearance. The 2020 Olympic gold medalist finally puts the MMA gloves on after a storied collegiate wrestling career, which includes 2 national championships, 2 Dan Hodge Trophy wins, and 5 All-American nods. Stevenson recently was a part of the WWE developmental system before being released in May 2024, which it probably was a blessing in disguise with everything I'm hearing from like the WWE community that their entire storylines apparently are absolutely imploding. Um, but I did get why he went over that. Like Brock Lesnar did it, right? Right after college, you go into WWE. It's the biggest, company around wrestling, period. And you're gonna go in there. You know how to wrestle. You're going to learn how to promote, how to build character, how to get on the mic, how to sell tickets, and all of that. And even though he was released, he still got to be behind it. He still got to, show up to rehearsals and really get to know at least some people in that locker room. And, people like Chael Sonnen have been very high on him, and they are giving him advice for what he should do. Stevenson's then returned to college for his final year of eligibility at Minnesota, but suffered an upset loss to Wyatt Hendrickson in the final match of the season at NCAA Wrestling National Championships. After the wrestling season was over, Stevenson started focusing more on fight training, including stops in Las Vegas, where he worked with coaches at Syndicate MMA. He also counted UFC legend John Jones as one of his mentors after helping him prepare for a fight against Steve Miocic. And I don't care what your opinion is on John Jones. John Jones is one hell of a dude to bring you into the UFC and not only teach you how to fight, but really teach you the fight game. and becoming a draw. And the number one thing that John Jones has always had extremely good knowledge on is his leverage. And now, we're in a position where we're trashing him for giving up the belt for not wanting to fight Thomas Espinal. Again, he's one of the richest champions. He's the most successful champion. He knows this game. And there are very few other fighters that can help you the way that John Jones can help you beyond the cage. With a couple of impressive victories, it seems likely that Stevens could make the jump to the UFC. Peterson looks to play spoiler in his sophomore pro appearance. In his pro debut, Blood Axe picked up a 14-second TKO win over Chris Thompson for Fusion Fight League, a regional promotion out of Montana. LFA is one of the top developmental promotions in the world and has sent a slew of fighters on to the UFC. Other major MMA promotions, most recently LFA Women's Bantamweight Champ Baya Mesquita signed with the UFC and will debut at the Rio card. I like this. I really do. I love this. Instead of going on the contender series, and I'm assuming they're gonna bring him on there, this is the smarter move. Now, I don't really know much about the guy he's fighting. I'm gonna have to look into him more as we get closer to the fight. But whether you love Gable Stevesons, whether you hate him because of how much hype he gets, this guy really is a big draw coming to MMA. And again, I look at the business of MMA over, the martial arts. That's what got me into the sport. Obviously, heavyweight collegiate wrestler who went over to the UFC. Who do we all think of? Brock Lesnar, right? And you look at what Brock Lesnar did back in the day, and he didn't have the right coaches. Gable Stevesons has taken the time to go find the best coaches he can and go around with some of the greatest to ever, compete within the UFC. Um, he's grappled with Craig Jones, which again, Craig Jones is one of the greatest grapplers ever lived. One of the greatest grapplers of our era. Um, you know, second Olympic gold medalist to sign with the company. When I completely looked over being an Olympic gold medalist. You look at fighters with Olympic gold. You look at what they accomplished. Ben Askren, DC, Kayla Harrison, Henry Cejudo. I'm burping again. Ugh, finally. So, this is the thing I want to talk about right here. NXT. He already has the knowledge of what a farm system is because of his time in, NXT. Whatever, it's scripted. I'm not telling you to go watch WWE. I'm saying there are a lot of things that he will know that majority of the new fighters don't. As far as, okay, I'm going after this fighter. If I beat him this way, I should say this. If I beat him that way, I should say that. That is a major thing that is missing from today's MMA. And it's mainly because fighters are too scared to actually, make it fun. Because of how shit the media is. And because fans shit on them, if they try and do it. Which, what I say to that, fucking do it, fighters. I've been saying it for the last month. If you are an MMA fighter, attack the MMA fans. Dude, 100%. You will become a major star. Look at what they did for Colby Covington, right? Colby, about to get cut, turns into a top 5 draw. Just like that. Um, but I want to be fair to Chael Sonnen with, you know, this is a different circumstance. Right? Like, this is a guy who, Bo Nickel had his success. He makes Bo Nickel look like an amateur, right? But like, how old is he again? Isn't he like early? Um, how old is? He was born 2000, so he's 20. Yeah, 25. 25, making his debut. Historically, a lot of these, collegiate guys have to make their debuts a lot later. I I think he has a lot of potential. I really do. I really think, as far as a prospect in MMA, we rarely see a guy get this kind of treatment. And like they hype up Sean O'Malley, they hype up Peyton Talbot. Contender Series is a different thing. This is, you know, we've been hearing about this guy for years. We've been looking at what he's been doing at a college level. And honestly, I really hope I hope he can do it at the top. Heavyweight needs, a Gable Stevesons. We need more talent in that division. I think, like, you look at heavyweight now, yes, it's going to get better as, Tom Aspinall fights gone, and then whoever he's going to fight after gone. And I assume he'll be, pretty active as he was before. Gable Stevesons just becomes another name that Tom Aspinall could add on to his career. Or vice versa, Gable Stevesons gets in as John Jones' protege, and beats Tom Aspinall. That's the fight. That's 100% the fight. That is what I'm titling this video. I was actually gonna end off with the clips um of him training with John. But like, you look at Greg Jackson, like that gym, right? Um Back in the day, they had a couple of champions, they had Holly Holm, they had a lot of top contenders, and to me, like, you had AKA, you obviously have ATT, you had well, Lions Den wasn't really around then. Like, you had your camps back in the day, right? But like, it's I feel like this is a completely different game. I feel like the UFC over the last 10 years has really, really changed to be, the level of competition it is. And I really hope you can flush out his fucking striking, dude. I get it. Grappling is superior. Whatever you want to say. Fucking strike, dude. Make it entertaining. You you can dominate 24 minutes if you stand up for 1 minute and just trade on the feet. That's all I want to see. Mixed martial arts. I don't know why that's controversial now, but we will have to see, man. Now, a lot of people are gonna look at the past, though, and the problem people looking at the past is people are short brand and they only look at the recent ones. They only look at the Bo Nichols. They don't factor in the DCs, the Ben Asprens, you know. I mean, Randy Couture, you throw him up there too. He started late as well. Um, Ended up double champ, uh, 5 time champ, I think it was, because I think didn't he win like the light heavyweight belt twice, and then he won the heavyweight belt 3 times. Yeah, because he beat Chuck Liddell, he beat Tim Sylvia, to win it over this champ. Then I can't remember. I really can't. But let me know. Do you think Gable Stevesons is different? Do you think Gable Stevesons is a Ben Askren or a DC or really anybody from that 2008 Olympic team? Or do you have your doubts? Do you think that the American wrestling system just doesn't fly in modern MMA? I'm very interested in what you have to say. Obviously, we're going to have to talk about this quick when it happens. And, yeah, man, finally. But let me know what you think down below.